The Group Managing Director, Malam Mele-Kyari, has embarked on a strategic engagement with ExxonMobil and some other international oil companies towards adding value to the nation's abundant hydrocarbon resources. Malam Kyari, along with some members of the NNPC management team, visited the ExxonMobil's Houston offices, where he met Liam Malone, President Upstream, Hunter Faris, Senior Vice President Deepwater, and Paul McGrath, Managing Director of ExxonMobil Nigeria Unlimited. The GMD also visited Chevron's offices in Houston with the aim to foster collaboration and further secure the commitment of the IOCs towards value enhancement for all. The outcome of the meeting is expected to aggressively meet the nation's ambitious growth in the oil and gas value chain, as the partners were assured of conducive investment climate and returns. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, will aggressively expand its domestic gas footprints with the delivery of the Escravos Lagos Pipeline System, ELPS-2, to double capacity from 1.1 billion standard cubic feet of gas to 2.2 billion standard cubic feet of gas, and the OB3 gas pipeline to connect East and the West. Group Managing Director of the corporation, Malam Mele-Kyari, made this known at the 4th Sub-Saharan Africa International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference, SIPEC, in Lagos. Represented by the Chief Operating Officer, COO Gas and Power Engineer Yusuf Usman, Malam Kyari stated that the recent passage of the Deep Offshore Act into law has set the industry on the path of irreversible growth.
Successfully completed the arrangement for financing of the AKK, which is about $2.5 billion, which is huge. We have taken the FID for Trans 7, and that's going to bring in a huge amount of investment, upward of $10 billion, and these are foreign direct investment.
In his opening remarks, the chairman of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PETAN, Mr. Bank Anthony Okorafor, applauded Malam Kyari for being a true friend of the industry and called for deeper regional integration among African countries to boost the continent's economic activities.
Going beyond exports and making the most of Africa's resources, we need infrastructure investment.
The National Bureau of Statistics has revealed that the nation's oil sector grew by 6.36% on year-on-year basis in the fourth quarter of 2019, with an average daily oil production of 2 million barrels per day during the quarter. According to the report, the real growth of the oil sector was 6.36% year-on-year in quarter 4 2019, indicating an increase of 7.98% points relative to the rate recorded in the corresponding quarter of 2018. The Bureau said that the oil sector contributed 7.32% to total real GDP in quarter 4 2019, up from figures recorded in the corresponding period of 2018, but down compared to the preceding quarter, where it contributed 7.06% and 9.77%, respectively. Oil contributed 8.78% to real GDP in 2019.
The Secretary General of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, Dr. Mohammed Barkindo, said OPEC and its allies are displaying a renewed commitment to reach an accord that will stabilize oil markets hit hard by the coronavirus. All eyes will be on the group's meeting this week after crude prices slumped to a one-year low below $46 per barrel in New York. Dr. Barkindo said in an interview from Saudi Arabia to help coordinate the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries' upcoming meeting. The OPEC scribe said the OPEC Plus partnership has proved effective in balancing world crude markets since it was founded in late 2016 and will do so again.
Behind screams and tears of pain in some communities, there is a terrible act of pipeline vandalism, which causes fire outbreak and takes innocent lives. Pipeline vandalism also pollutes our waters and the fish we eat. Please join us to save lives and stop this crime. Warn or report those who vandalize our pipelines. The law will deal with them. NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
One of the greatest challenges confronting the Nigerian oil and gas operations is crude oil, petroleum products theft, and pipeline vandalism. This menace affects the operations of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, international oil companies, and independent indigenous oil companies in Nigeria. Several measures in time past and currently have been deployed to mitigate the activities of these economic saboteurs that are bent on bleeding the national economy, destroying agrarian and aquatic lives, polluting the environment, and destroying the flora and fauna of areas of operations of the oil and gas sector. Technologies such as drones and the horizontal directional drilling HDD have been deployed to some of the hotspots where crude and petroleum products pipelines have come under several attacks by pipeline vandals. Equally, security agencies, vigilantes, and community youths have also been engaged to degrade vandals' activities. In 2019, Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, who is also the chairman of the ad hoc committee of the National Economic Council on Crude Oil Theft, Prevention and Control, painted a dire picture of impact of pipeline breach on the oil sector.
If this trend is not abated, it will therefore mean that by year end this year, we'll have lost over $2.5 billion.
The group managing director of the NNPC, Malamele Kyari, said the NNPC under his watch would continue to partner with the Nigerian Army, Navy, Nigeria Police, Department of State Services, and the entire state security apparatus to tame pipeline vandalism.
The issues around the acts of vandals, saboteurs, even thieves along our pipeline and on some of our assets is so known to everybody. We are aware of the many interventions that are going on, which we participate in, and the fact still remains that there are issues around these assets.
Heads of some of the security agencies enumerated efforts being made to tackle the menace which has threatened the revenue flow from the oil sector.
It's very needful for these two establishments to collaborate, to synergize and work together for the benefit of our country.
We are going to set up a team, a technical team perhaps, to see those particular areas where these losses are taking place.
We assure you of our continuous support of protecting the national asset infrastructure, especially the NNPC.
The Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative disclosed in November last year that the country lost more than 505 million barrels of crude oil and 4.2 billion liters of petroleum products, valued at $40.06 billion and $1.84 billion respectively, to theft from 2009 to 2018.
The scale of the infrastructure that we need to protect is amazing. Oil fields, more than 2,000 wellheads. The pipeline for refined products is more than 5,000 kilometers. The one for crude is more than 4,000 kilometers.
Speaking in similar vein, the Chief Operating Officer upstream of the NNPC, Roland Ewubare, stated that a total of 1,376 pipeline points were vandalized between January and October 2019.
Between 2001 and 2019 half year, we recorded a total of 45,347 pipeline breaks and breaches on our downstream pipeline network.
On 19th January 2020, Nigeria recorded another pipeline vandalism in Abule Egba area of Lagos State that led to loss of 5 lives and properties.
When we were running out, the small child herself, the little girl, her name Miriam. So she is the one that tapped me and showed me where her mother was burnt by fire with the younger brother.
Assuming it happened between 12 a.m. down, it could have been a disaster because everybody inside the house could have died, even from sleep to other world.
The Chief Operating Officer downstream of the NNPC, Engineer Adeyemi Adetunji, said the corporation was working closely with security agencies to tackle the security challenges and cited Operation Kurumbe that was recently conducted by the Nigerian Navy at the Atlas Cove as an example of such collaborative efforts.
We never stop communication. But like I said again, as adults, we should know what is right. We also know what is right. So, but we continue the engagements, while we also secure our pipeline right of way.
Malam Kyari called on the National Assembly to ignite necessary legislative action that would support the NNPC and the oil industry to combat the twin menace of pipeline vandalism and oil theft.
Our facilities, particularly the Farm Life Network and the connecting depots, are in a very difficult situation.
Some members of the Senate Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources, made up of the committees on downstream, upstream, and gas, have these to say.
This Senate is very, very disturbed and is very concerned the danger the country is in regards to refining and transportation of finished products and crude oil.
Will provide the legislative intervention required as fast, as expeditious as possible.
Legal luminaries speak on the penalties prescribed by the Petroleum Production and Distribution Anti-Sabotage Act of 1975, which broadly provides stiffer penalties for the damages to certain infrastructures, including oil pipelines.
The Petroleum Products Anti-Sabotage Law Act of 1975 that clearly states that if anyone is found convicted, liable to have done anything to obstruct the distribution of petroleum products anywhere in Nigeria, if that person is found liable and convicted, the person shall be guilty of sabotage. The penalty for that is 21 years imprisonment or death penalty.
From our research, nobody has been charged to court under the Petroleum Products and Distribution Anti-Sabotage Law, which is a 1975 law. That is about 45 years now. Not one person has been charged to court under that law.
The menace of pipeline vandalism and crude oil theft are enemies of the national economy that must be stopped now to enable the economy to flourish. All hands must be on deck to stem the malaise and grow the national economy, as well as ensure that the environment is free from acute pollution. For the NNPC as a responsible and responsive national oil company, it would continue to collaborate with all relevant stakeholders to ensure that Nigeria to derive maximum value from the abundant hydrocarbon resources of the nation.
80% of our youths that are working today are engaged by NPDC and NPDC contractors. Most of the elders are working also with NPDC. Scholarship, most of our children are being engaged, are being given scholarship.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
Good evening and welcome to the feedback segment. My name is Julia Auta. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, an equal opportunity employer in the oil and gas value chain, recently issued letters of appointment to 1,050 graduate trainees to add young vigor to her workforce. In this edition, our roving lays caught up with some Nigerians who bear their minds on the recruitment process by NNPC.
The other ministries should emulate what the NNPC have done so far by employing 1,050 candidates.
I applied, I got called, I wrote the exam, and I wasn't called for the interview, but I knew a couple people that were called for the interview. Then I think I know one person that got the job.
I wish them success in their new career. If I have the opportunity to, I'll be taking also.
I'm very happy for Nigeria to even call people, such people like that. You know, they are doing a wonderful job.
If all parastatals will involve in this kind of recruitment, I think we should go to the next level.
And I'm very happy for the employment. And those that got the opportunity, I pray they should utilize it and serve Nigeria well.
The recruitment process and the comments from the public show how transparent the NNPC is. And that's it on this segment. Stay tuned. Hello and thank you for joining us on this segment. My name is Abigail Ojogo. Did you know that the word petroleum literally translates as rock oil that stems from the Greek word petra, meaning rock, the word oleum, meaning oil? Crude oil is considered the mother of all commodities because of its use in the manufacturing of numerous products, including gasoline, synthetic fabrics, plastics, and pharmaceuticals. Did you know that products like fertilizers, plastics, car tires, ammonia, perfumes, and even bubble gums are synthesized using petroleum products obtained during the crude oil refining process? Did you also know that the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, hold over 3/4 of the world's proven oil reserves, and that number is rising? Now you know. Please keep watching.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices fell to their lowest since January 2019 as a growing number of new coronavirus cases outside of China fueled fears of a pandemic which could slow the global economy and lower crude oil demand. Brent crude futures was down 63 cents or 1.2% at $52.80 per barrel. The contract earlier fell to as low as $52.57, the lowest since January 2, 2019. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI futures fell by 65 cents or 1.3% to $48.08 per barrel. It earlier fell to as low as $47.84, the lowest since January 4, 2019. In the 5 trading sessions, Brent has dropped 11%, while the WTI has declined 10.6%, their biggest 5-day percentage losses since August 2019. On Wednesday, for the first time ever, the number of new coronavirus infections outside China, the source of the outbreak, exceeded the number of the new Chinese cases. Gasoline stocks dropped by 2.7 million barrels in the week to February 21 to 256.4 million, the Energy Information Administration EIA said, amid a decline in refinery throughput. Distillate inventories fell by 2.1 million barrels to 138.5 million. U.S. crude oil stockpiles increased by 452,000 barrels to 443.3 million barrels, the EIA said, which was less than the 2 million barrel rise analysts had expected. Thanks for watching. I am Owigo Kolo.
On behalf of ExxonMobil affiliates in Nigeria, on behalf of my corporation, I want to commit ExxonMobil to supporting you and your vision for this great country. ExxonMobil has been in Nigeria for well over 40 years. It is my intention that ExxonMobil is here for another 40 years as a partner of choice.
That's been the stories on Oil and Gas Forum for this edition. We hope you found it delightsome. A lot of work and job cut out for all of us as stakeholders. Keep vigilant. See you next week.